There are actually some real negative consequences that can come from taking in a lot of self-help and motivational type content. And if you find yourself talking in your own mind saying things like, I really just need more willpower, I just need to find my purpose and this is all going to finally work out, or this sort of vague sense of dissatisfaction that you're framing through like, I'm just not living up to my potential, I'm not making this count, this isn't really my passion, but you don't have a lot of real specific things like that I can do today to change that or make something happen, that's a sign that you can be in one of the many traps that can come from this. Now, when I say sort of vague self-help content, this is stuff that really lends itself well to the quotes that you might have seen posted, right? Wake up, make the day count, get after it, live every day like it's your last, believe in yourself. Totally fine, right? And it can be a nice little perk or pep in your step. But there's a real clear distinction between that and something like emotional work that can help you process through something that is truly stuck for you. So if, for example, you get total anxiety and overwhelm, if you have to look at a budget, like really do your numbers for real, and just kind of keep putting it off, or it brings up a lot of emotional pain, we have like crippling anxiety at the thought or even the act of trying to put up a YouTube video, trying to make a speech, trying to make a sales call. Depending on what's going on, usually whatever's tagged in your nervous system that says, oh, when it's time to look at money, this is unsafe, and we go into like a freeze response. No amount of motivational talks, no amount of hearing, a positive story about how I used to fail at business and now I make millions of dollars selling motivational content. It's not going to override something that really needs to be processed through you. And so this is a really important distinction to have. You want to have the right tool for the right job. So if something is just lacking in motivation and you find like, okay, I listened to that podcast and then I actually go and I crank out a bunch of work and it's all good, great. But if there are things that have remained stuck for a long time, you're going to want another tool to look at and examine that. And so a lot of what I do is stuff like EFT tapping, which is one of many tools, and there's countless practitioners who can help you work through something where if you're consistently finding that I really get into shutdown, and I maybe even use listening to motivational podcasts as a way of sort of avoiding the confronting thing, right? Like I still haven't done that budget, I still haven't made my first video, and it's been like 6 months. It's probably not a willpower issue. It's probably not like if I just do enough cold plunging and stuff, I'm going to start cranking this out. So it can be confronting, but know that there is support and there are tools to help you work through this. I'm actually increasingly hearing language from people where they're judging themselves because they've taken in a sort of oversimplified version of, how their body, mind, nervous system works. And again, if I can just psych myself up enough, and I guess I just don't believe in it enough. Now they're judging themselves for something they can't do when really, again, no amount of motivation can override a fight or flight response to something that's linked to some past event that your nervous system has tagged as this is not a safe place for me. So when you can understand the distinction, you can start to use the right tool for the job. And so you might work through a process of doing EFT tapping, whether that's with someone or at least starting with a video or some sort of guided meditation or process that really is specifically looking at a trigger, helping you be present with uncomfortable emotions that arise. Because also, if you look closely at it, a lot of the motivational self-help type content can be to elicit a heightened state, which again can be useful, but that can actually be used to avoid unpleasant emotion and can be used to help you keep distracting yourself from triggers that really do need to be processed through in order for you to take that very clear and specific step. Clear and specific is really one of the key distinctions, right? A very big difference between, oh, I'm just not living my best life, or like, can you imagine the perfect life? Well, when specifically are you living your best life, right? A lot of times it's a little vague, and a lot of times in our culture now it's very material, right? So the imagery might be, well, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of success, you're on a big stage. But that's external, that's material. And that's not necessarily in any way going to address the discomfort you feel around something that really needs to be handled like today or soon to actually get you to the next practical, real step in your business or in your personal life if you are terrified or triggered when it comes time to ask someone out, or really triggered around closer intimacy. That's not a motivation issue. There are other things there. So when you're working with emotional work, there is ideally a specific and clear end point. Right? So this is something I experience regularly in my own work, where someone might come to me because they face that anxiety about being on camera or looking at their budget. And when we find the source of it and we work through it, once they can do that budgeting, I may never hear from that person again. And that's sort of the point. Right? There was a specific thing that needed to be addressed, and now we could look at the emotional cause behind it, resolve it, and now they can budget. A perhaps cynical interpretation of some of the more vague content out there is because there's no endpoint, it can really lend itself to endless consumption of it, right? Which could be arguably a better business strategy if I was like, well, work with me, we're going to clear all your limiting beliefs, and then you're going to have the life of your dreams. It's kind of obtuse, right? It's not, look, when have I arrived? Well, sort of never, because there's always things you can look at and work through, and that can kind of keep you in this trap of like over consuming motivational content. So that's another thing you want to look out for, right? Besides it being a little vague, is am I continuing to like listen to sort of the same ideas and concepts over and over with the hope that one day something's supposed to just click and then I can do things that feel unsafe to me. I would not recommend approaching it that way. I strongly suggest you use these tools as they're most appropriate. So use motivational self-help material to help you feel motivated, help you connect to that sense of inspiration, but recognize when there's something specific or a lack of specificity in your life. And when you find, yep, no matter what I do, I cannot make that first video, or I cannot get on camera, or I cannot make that phone call. Look at those uncomfortable feelings there. Begin the process of exploring emotional work. Okay, how can I be present with those feelings? What can I do to help relax that? I have a playlist called The Fundamentals, which outlines some of my approach with that. I have a free ebook in the description that outlines some of my approach, and obviously different ways you can connect with me. But like I said, there's many techniques, many practitioners. Find the thing that resonates with you so you get to still have the motivational content you enjoy, but you're able to work through the things where there's really those inner emotional blocks that have been stopping you from taking that next step, and then they can feed on each other in a positive way. So hope that helps. If you have any questions, comments, I would love to hear them. Thanks.